Welcome to Dear Leaders, Love Your People, the podcast that bridges the gap between what you need and what your team needs for you to be an even stronger leader. We're going to tackle topics like team culture, imposter syndrome, generational differences, but we're going to do all of that from the perspective that I think often gets overlooked. Your people's perspective, what they need from you. If you're wondering if this is like elementary school where we're passing notes between each other, yes, that is exactly what it's like, but we're not getting in trouble this time. That makes me your note passer and host, Brandy Sperling. I am a keynote speaker, writer, founder of Sage Culture Co., the learning and development company, and I am still the reigning goat of folding cootie catchers even to this day. In less than 20 minutes, we are going to make leadership development fun, actionable, and all about helping you connect and grow alongside your people. Wait, speaking of, I think you've got some mail. Let's dive into today's episode. Dear leaders, today we are rounding out our culture series and talking about maybe the hardest part of building a culture. We're talking about owning it, holding each other accountable, you holding us accountable for the culture that you've set, but even more importantly, holding yourself accountable for the culture that you're envisioning as well. So just a quick recap, we started with Say It, which was all about defining and putting words to the culture that you want to build for our team. Build It was creating the systems and processes that would help reinforce that culture that you were envisioning in Say It. And now we are landing in the beautiful land of Own It, owning it. And the thing about Own It, I think most often happens as we really zero in on holding other people accountable. So you as a leader absolutely are charged with holding us, the people reporting to you, accountable, always. But there's something even more important that you have to go through before you can successfully hold us accountable, and that is holding yourself accountable. We're talking about maybe the biggest part of owning it, which is modeling the behavior that you want to see from us in yourself, holding yourself to the standard that you are going to hold us to. And the reason why I love this part of the culture conversation so much is because I experienced firsthand in a culture what happens when we get really good at saying what's important. We build systems and processes really intentionally to reinforce it, but the leader doesn't model it. And when that happens, you might as well just kiss the culture goodbye because we're watching. And if we don't see it represented in you, how on earth are we going to feel safe doing it ourselves? I once worked for a company that talked a lot about work-life balance, how much they really valued it, encouraging people to take their PTO. They had to say it. They messaged how important it was to have work-life balance and to take your PTO. They had the systems. We knew how to go about requesting our PTO from our leader. We knew what was going to happen on the other side. But every single time I took my vacation, I couldn't shake this feeling that it somehow wasn't safe for me to do it. I was second guessing it every single time I did it. And it finally dawned on me that the reason that I felt that way was because my leader, pause for dramatic effect, never took their vacation. They never took their PTO. And when they did take their PTO, you know what they were doing? They were texting me. They were emailing me. Two things that they would never want us to do, but they were doing it. That's what happens whenever you as a leader don't embody the culture that you want to see from us. It's like you live out that saying, do as I say, not as I do. No, not in 2025. We're not doing that anymore. You have to be able to say what systems are important, build systems and processes to reinforce it, and then the biggest charge you have is to model it effectively for us. You have to own it. As a business owner and key decision maker, you have enough on your plate. So find a partner that can make business banking a breeze. At Hawthorne Bank, we provide quick decisions and local support. Our expert team can work with you from the basics of sending invoices and accepting online payments to treasury and cash management, managing company credit cards, and providing commercial loans for your next big move. We can even provide options to minimize your risk of fraud. Let's face it, when your finances are in order, it's easier to keep everything else running smoothly. At Hawthorne Bank, We take pride in being a full-service community bank, and we are a partner in your success. Visit us today at hawthornebank.com and start connecting to what's possible. Hawthorne Bank, connecting you to what's possible. Member FDIC. One of my favorite examples of a founder or business owner really owning the culture that they wanted to create is Yvon Chouinard, who is the founder of Patagonia. So if you don't know Patagonia, I feel like who wouldn't? But if you don't, Patagonia is an outdoor brand founded on this concept of we're in business to save our planet. That's what Yvon said from the beginning. We're in business to save our planet. He was a rock climber, spent a ton of time outside, and so he wanted to found this company based on this concept of giving back to the environment and protecting the environment at all costs. And so that's what he said. He said that that was what was important to him. That's the culture that he wanted to create. There are so many systems and processes that he built. For example, they have a reuse, repurpose program for their clothes to make sure that people aren't just disposing of their clothes, and they can either, move them forward to be bought again, or you can get them repaired. So the repairing processes are incredibly easy, incredibly straightforward. We love buying Patagonia. But the thing that I love the most is how he really owned his culture, how he lived out and modeled how important this culture was to him for his people and the world to see. So in 2022, he transferred ownership of the company to a trust and nonprofit that ensures all profits of Patagonia go towards fighting climate change and protecting all undeveloped land. So Yvon Chouinard actually no longer owns Patagonia because he transferred it into a trust and nonprofit that actually furthers the mission of being able to be in business to protect the environment. I love this picture because obviously I'm not advocating that any leader has to do this in order to obviously own a culture, but it's a really good picture of how there's no links that you can't go to in order to show your people how to embody and how important a culture is than through your actions. Your actions as leaders are the things we need to see the most. I don't work for Patagonia. Man, that would be a dream company to speak for, I'm sure. But I can't imagine what it would feel like working in a company like that not only told me that the environment was important, they created systems and processes, obviously, to reinforce it, but also the literal owner helped to model it to me in such a big, impactful way. I can imagine that it would just solidify how much that culture meant on the other side even more. You do not need to give away an entire company in order to hold yourself accountable for the culture you're trying to create for your team. But you can do two things. And I want to say I am specifically focusing on modeling it with Own It. I feel like I could have so many conversations around how do we hold other people accountable, but it doesn't really make sense to spend your time focusing on how to hold other people accountable unless you are fully confident that you are holding yourself to the standard that you should be holding yourself so that your team can live out the culture fully. So that's why we start with holding ourselves accountable. So here we go. Two things, and don't forget, these are on your leader guide, always linked in the show notes. So the two things that you're going to do. Number one, you're going to do an audit. You're going to do a quick little audit of your leadership. You remember in Say It, where we identified all those things that you wanted your culture to include. So maybe it was feedback, good communication, setting great boundaries, great teamwork. You are going to look at that list of all of the things that you want your culture to include, and you are going to ask yourself, how am I doing on all of these? How am I doing? Am I modeling all of them intentionally? Am I showing my team what these look like? For feedback, am I actually asking for feedback? If I say that it's important and we want to do it, am I asking for it? So you're going to do an audit of everything that you want your culture to include and ask yourself, how am I doing on all of these things? And then the second thing you're going to ask yourself is, what silent signals am I sending? That's a lot of S's. Say that 3 times fast. What silent signals am I sending? Oh, I did it. It was only once, but the reason being, we lead by example. Even when we don't realize it, we're leading by example in every single thing that we do. And so in your audit, you're going to look at some of the actions and the norms and the behaviors that are important to you in creating a culture for your team. But by asking this question, what silent signals am I sending? It's asking you to look even deeper than the behavior identified and ask how I show up as a leader, either moving our team forward or further away from the culture I'm trying to create. And here's the thing, silent signals matter because they tell the truth about what's really valued without even saying a word. So you can't say that we value rest, but then send emails at 10 o'clock at night. You can't say, take your PTO, but then you never take an ounce of PTO yourself. You all have to know that you're living under a microscope. Every small action that you take or don't take, leaving early, skipping lunch, making sarcastic jokes about PTO, always rewarding the loudest person in the room, all of those things, they're sending a message. And teams pick up on those. We are picking up on those messages way faster than your words could ever tell us. So the reason why you're going to ask, what silent signals am I sending, is because when silent signals don't line up with the values that you have said are important or the culture you're trying to create, we will stop trusting the message. We're going to stop trusting the message because there might be some of these silent signals that are counterintuitive to the culture that you're creating, and they're not going unnoticed. We are noticing them. But when your values and your actions do align, that's whenever psychological safety grows. That's whenever we start trusting what this culture could be, and it starts to become real because we feel safer living it out ourselves. Owning it is the hardest part of leading through culture. It is, because it begs us to be really reflective of our own action, honest with ourselves, able to admit when we've gotten it wrong, and the courage to be able to do it differently in the future. That's what we're asking of you in this culture series. We want you to not only be able to identify and define what culture you want us to create on our team, we need you to help establish the systems and processes, the ones that are working, the ones that aren't working, the new opportunities, so that way we can actually embody the culture, and then we need you to own it so that you show us that it's actually safe. If there's one thing I hope you walk away from this culture series, it's this. It's that culture is an initiative. It's not just a buzzword. It's not nap pods. It's not snacks. It's the day-to-day environment that you're creating that we are embodying whenever we step into work on a Monday. Great cultures aren't built by intention alone. They're sparked by intention. They're reinforced by systems and processes, and they are made consistent through what you do as a leader and what you show us as possible on our teams. So if you're wondering where to start with you. Start with saying it. Continue the work by building it. And most importantly, be who you say you want our culture to be. That's how culture becomes real. And I can't wait to see what you do with it. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to grab the Leader Guide linked just below in the show notes. It's a downloadable resource to help you integrate today's topic into your team immediately. Subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to sign up for our newsletter so that you never miss an episode or a Leader Guide. They're dropped directly into your inbox. Until next time, dear leaders, let's love our people, shall we?